The stage lights warmed the polished coffee table as the audience applauded the surprise guest for the day. Danny DeVito, known for his quick wit, iconic voice, and decades of cinematic excellence. Danny stepped onto the set of The View with a playful grin, waving to the live crowd and shooting finger guns toward the camera. Joy Behar stood and gave him a side hug as he plopped down into the armchair beside her. "You know, Danny," Joy began, her trademark smile shining, "you might just be the only man alive who can get away with being 4 feet 10 inches and still intimidate a room full of producers." The panel laughed, and Danny leaned in, raising a mischievous eyebrow. "It's the eyebrows, Joy. I groom 'em with vengeance." The atmosphere was cozy, casual, infused with the nostalgic charm DeVito carried into every room. They touched on old Hollywood, his time filming Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and even poked fun at his viral moment drinking limoncello on The View years prior. But as the laughter rolled out and cups of water were refilled, the rhythm of the conversation began to subtly shift. Sonny Hostin turned to Danny with a slightly more serious tone and asked, "You've always spoken your mind in interviews. Have you ever regretted anything you've said politically or socially in hindsight?" Danny paused, smiling politely but visibly alert. "Well, I'm not known for biting my tongue," he said slowly, "but I'd rather be remembered for standing up than staying quiet." The audience gave a supportive clap, but Joy leaned in, tilting her head, her tone hard to pin down friendly or probing. "But Danny, sometimes standing up too hard, especially for the wrong people, can look a little outdated, don't you think?" Danny blinked. "I'm not sure I follow." Joy flipped her cue card subtly. "Let's take the 2022 SAG Awards. You made a pretty firm defense of Roman Polanski during an offstage moment caught on mic." A hush blanketed the stage, and even the studio crew stopped shuffling behind the cameras. Danny's shoulders stiffened. "That's a pretty bold way to misquote me, Joy." Joy shrugged, the smile fading slightly. "I'm just saying, came off tone deaf in a world that's a lot more careful about the lines between separating art and morality." Danny sat back, crossing his arms slowly, clearly choosing his next words with care. "I've been in this business over 50 years. I've seen it, all good, bad, and twisted. If we burn every book by a flawed author or ban every film made by a complicated director, we'd have nothing left but a box of sanitized mediocrity." The crowd murmured, unsure whether to clap or recoil. Joy pushed forward. "That's the thing, Danny. People are evolving, and defending someone convicted of assaulting a minor, whether it's about the art or not, doesn't sound like evolution. It sounds like a stubborn refusal to move forward." Danny's eyes narrowed, and for the first time in the segment, his voice dropped an octave. "Let me tell you something, Joy. I've fought for unions, for women's rights, for worker protections, for marginalized actors since before some of these new crusaders even learned to read a script. You don't get to rewrite my legacy because you don't like one complicated opinion taken out of context." Sonny tried to interject with a calming comment, but Danny held up a hand, continuing, "There's a difference between defending someone and acknowledging that humans, especially artists, are complicated, broken creatures. What matters is what we do, who we lift up, how we use our voice when it counts. And frankly, I don't think The View is the place for moral grandstanding. When half the people on this couch have questionable friends in their contact list." Gasps echoed, and for a second, even Whoopi seemed unsure how to proceed. Joy laughed stiffly, tapping her fingers on her thigh. "Is that a swipe at me, Danny? Or do you want to unpack what you really mean by that?" Danny leaned forward, eyes sharp. "Maybe it is. Or maybe it's just time someone called out the selective outrage that fuels these conversations. You people love a scapegoat until it's someone you brunch with on Sundays." Joy's smile completely vanished now. "I think you're confusing accountability with cancel culture," she said coolly. "And I think you're confusing television drama with truth," Danny retorted. "You invited me on here to talk about my work, my life, not to ambush me with old gossip headlines repackaged as a moral inquisition." Whoopi leaned forward, trying to mediate. "Danny, we're just having a conversation," but he cut her off. "No, Whoopi, you're sitting here letting it happen. You know what this is? I've sat at too many of these tables over the years. You don't invite Danny DeVito on and come at him like he's some intern trying to make his name. You want the soundbite, you want the viral clip. Well, here it is." He slapped his palm lightly on the armrest. "I'm not here to explain myself, two people looking to score points off my career. You want to dig into the past? Go rent my movies. Every single one of them has more heart, soul, and grit than this couch has seen in a decade." There was an eerie silence as Joy stared back, her eyes glassy but defiant. "Danny, no one's trying to attack you. We just think public figures have a responsibility to clarify their positions. Words matter." He laughed, but it was cold. "Oh, words matter now. Words always mattered, but context matters more. Intention, nuance, something this show lost somewhere between its 5th and 15th co-host rotation." The audience was still, unsure whether they were witnessing a breakdown or a moment of rare authenticity. You say you want truth. Here it is, this industry, this format, it chews people up, then pretends to ask how they feel about being swallowed. You want integrity? Stop editing decency out of the edit room. Joy looked down at her cue card, then back at him. You think you're the only one with battle scars. We've all had to apologize, clarify, grow. Maybe you should try it instead of hiding behind your legacy. And that was the moment Danny leaned back, looked toward the backstage area, and said clearly, I think I'm done here. The sound of his mic brushing against his collar filled the room as he unhooked it, stood up, and glanced at the other co-hosts. You know, I used to love this show, he muttered, back when it was about opinions, not orchestrated takedowns. Joy opened her mouth, but he was already walking. Whoopi made a half effort to stand, but didn't follow. The camera remained on Danny as he exited stage right, his back framed against the heavy velvet curtain. A production assistant moved quickly to intercept him off camera. The hosts were left blinking, the audience clapping awkwardly, unsure whether it was over or just the beginning of something much bigger. Sonny finally looked to the camera, trying to salvage the segment. Well, that was unexpected. Joy smoothed her dress, crossed one leg over the other, and forced a smile. I think we just witnessed one of those moments they'll be playing on loop for the next decade. Whoopi nodded silently, her expression unreadable. The show went to commercial. Moments later, new ultra music. No panning applause, just a jarring cut as Joy reached for her coffee and murmured something to the producers. The audience whispering, like schoolchildren, after a public scolding. Social media lit up almost immediately. Within 5 minutes, Danny DeVito was trending on X and TikTok. Hashtags like #DeVito Unfiltered and #The View Meltdown topped feeds across platforms. Clips of the tense exchange spread like wildfire, some praising DeVito's candor, others slamming his refusal to address the Polanski comment directly. Twitter divided instantly between defenders of artistic legacy and champions of public accountability. Think pieces were drafted before the next commercial break aired. But no one really knew what would happen next. Would Danny release a statement? Would Joy address the fallout in tomorrow's hot topics? Or would the moment simply hang in digital, limbo unresolved? Powerful, a cultural snapshot frozen in time, destined to live in compilation reels titled Celebrities Who Snapped on Live TV. No follow-up interview was released that day. Danny's team declined to comment. Joy's representatives promised an addressal on the following week's episode, but for audiences, the moment lived on endlessly, looped in reels, analyzed in reaction videos, hotly debated on podcasts. Was DeVito a relic of another era or a victim of modern witch hunts? Was Joy pushing for accountability or playing provocateur? For ratings. No one could quite agree, and maybe that was the point. In an age where authenticity is both demanded and dissected, Danny DeVito, walking off The View, became less about the specific argument and more about a deeper cultural divide. One, between memory and momentum, between forgiveness and accountability, between raw humanity and polished performance. And in that awkward silence between commercials, America didn't just watch a talk show guest leave. It watched a fault line split wide open.